I was upfront with them. I was like, hey, we can't promise what these growth opportunities are gonna look like. They were still pretty insistent that that's the route that they wanted to go.
Hi, I'm Jeremy. Today I'm joined by our recruiting coordinator, Allie. Allie, welcome. When a company is trying to find the right talent, sometimes they're blaming the candidate pool. There's no good employees out there. Why isn't that the case?
I don't think that's the case. I think a lot of people jump into recruiting without knowing exactly what they're looking for, whether that's skill sets or the culture that they have. And it's really just a matter of, casting a wide net, pulling in the right fish. Yeah.
You can't find what you're looking for unless you define it. Company principles may sound crazy, but if you truly think about it, you probably already have them. So when you're casting that wide net, how do you find the right people? Are you looking for skills, or you mentioned company culture? How do you start narrowing that down?
I think when you're in the first stages, right, you're kind of looking at resumes and you're seeing skills listed there. So it's a matter of finding transferable skills that will work for the position that you're trying to fill. In the next stage of the process, you can really kind of get into the culture aspect of things, right? Finding and identifying behaviors that will mesh with what you already have or what you're looking to build. I recently had a situation where I was talking to somebody. It was an entry-level role. They didn't really have maybe not the passion for what that role was, right? They were maybe looking to move into something else. They wanted those growth opportunities. I was upfront with them. I was like, hey, we can't promise what these growth opportunities are going to look like. They were still pretty insistent that that's the route that they wanted to go. And, I was honest with them. I gave them a chance to turn it around. They still knew what they wanted. That's okay. But ultimately, right, you still want them to have a good experience and be able to potentially learn from something from that situation. So rather than just completely shutting them down, right, you give them that opportunity to maybe bounce back.
So how do you go about changing the interview process in order to start finding those people instead of just looking for a skill set that you might need?
I think the biggest thing is identifying your company culture specifically, and being able to identify behaviors that go along with what your culture is, what you want it to be, what you're building into, and still being able to recognize transferable skills, so from one industry to another.
By clearly defining your company principles, they become the foundation of everything you do. They allow you to dig deeper to find a person who not only fits the role you're filling, but your company as a whole. So I'm assuming it wasn't always this way. So once you started shifting your approach, how did the interview process change for you?
I think the biggest shift that we made was asking open-ended questions, right? So rather than yes or no questions, right, you're asking something to really get to the bottom of how somebody does something, which helps you identify whether or not they will fit into your company culture, what you're looking for, rather than just focusing on skills that they might have or specific role skills, right? You might be able to be like, hey, you worked in retail. Obviously, you're good at talking to people. You can be a customer service representative.
So if somebody's watching this video and they're looking to start to grow their team a little more, hire on some new people, what advice do you give them as they start that interview process to kind of narrow down the candidate pool to find the right person?
I would say identify what you're looking for first, right? You can't just go out there and, bounce around and try to figure it out, right? So really identify what you're looking for first, but then also just dive in, talk to people. You might be able to even narrow down that list a little bit more on what you're looking for after speaking with a variety of different people.
Allie, thank you for taking the time. If you have any questions for Allie, she's one of our best coordinators and she can help you find the right person for the role. Just drop that question down in the comments below.